What's going on, guys? So I decided to make a video on some of the top 5 things I think you need as far as parts to progress your wheelie game. I am about 7 months in. I'm capable of doing a wheelie. I'm actually like learning or trying to teach myself how to use the brake more and get it under control. I don't consider chasing a wheelie out to be a wheelie, if that makes sense. You know, if you can't control it, it's kind of pointless. So that's what I'm focusing on now. I'm about 7 months in. I have a 2018 Street Bob, and when I first started, I saw a bunch of how-tos. I saw, things to do, things not to do, but I saw, it was kind of just put out all over the place on some of the parts that would help you progress. And there was never really like a top 5 or top 10 things, you need to progress your wheelie game with Harleys. And so now that I have a little more experience, I definitely can identify some of the things that help me progress. So I made a list of 5 things, especially for beginners with a stock bike who are trying to progress in their wheelie game. So I'm going to list these from least important to most important, starting at 5. And 5, I'm going to say, is a crash bar. And the reason I say a crash bar is because I know, and this is all based off of my experience, so, I could be completely wrong. Who cares? This is just off of my experience, but I probably went about 3 months without any type of bike protection, and it definitely put like a ceiling on the way I rode my bike, because you should start off slow, you should take your time, build your skill, but without that bike protection, I was definitely a lot more reluctant than to, try it. So, I just, I would attempt to do wheelies, but like I said, I wasn't, if I did one the next day, it was like a whole new day, because I had to work myself all the way there. I know I could do it, but I just didn't want to chance it. It's a $20,000 bike, man. It doesn't make any sense to hop on it and fucking wrap the throttle. So, I definitely feel like if you have good bike protection, it's going to make you feel secured, make you feel more confident, and allow you to kind of break through. So 5 is going to be bike protection, and I know especially with Harleys, there are some knockoff brands, man, but like that's something you don't want to skimp out on. Like, you definitely want to have good quality. You want something that's gonna fucking hold your bike together. You don't want anything that if you fucking loop it, it's gonna do nothing or it's gonna break. So Bunking makes like really good crash bars. They have a front protection and they have sliders. I think the total set's about $600. So a good crash protection or good crash protectors are really good to have, just in my experience. So 5 is going to be crash bars. 4, I'm going to say front suspension. A lot of this stuff I had to learn just, from studying and trial and error. And I actually rode with the stock suspension for a while, man. And it did alright. I didn't know any difference. But in the process of building my bike up, I did change out the front suspension. And I didn't get crazy, but I did replace the damper rods and the springs. And now I can tell the difference. When your stock suspension, I haven't actually got to the back suspension. I'm more focused on my front suspension because that takes majority of the abuse. So I can definitely tell a difference in my landing. With my stock suspension, when I would come down off a wheelie, whether it be 9 o'clock or 12 o'clock, I would have oil marks. I would essentially bottom that fucking bike out, man. Like, it would come all the way down. My forks would compress, like, all the way fucking down. And I mean, time after time, it's gonna fucking break, eventually. So I went ahead and replaced. Actually, I replaced it because my fucking front sill blew out. Just from beating the shit out of it. My bike's not even a year old, So if that tells you something, so you really want to have a good front suspension, and it, if it'll help you get the bike out of the air. It'll help land the bike, and landing the bike is just as important as getting the fucking thing up in the air. If you twist a fork, if you come down at the wrong angle and the bike doesn't absorb it, you're fucked. You just crashed your bike. So, as far as suspension, I went with the Racetech Springs, which was like $130, and then I did upgrade to the +2 damper rods. I don't know how much of an importance that plays as far as performance, but I do feel like now that I have that additional 2 inches, it sets me up kind of a little higher, so when I do go to thrust back, it comes up a little quicker. So I do feel like it helps you with your launch, but it definitely helps you with your landing, because now, like, it doesn't even, when I land, like, it won't even go halfway on the front suspension, like, and I can stand it up at 12, come down and nothing, I've definitely not gassed out of it. Well, and that's another thing, is like, you're not gonna know how to gas out of it, right off the back. So you gotta have something that's gonna be able to withstand it, and a good suspension, good front suspension will do that. So 5 is gonna be crash bars. 4 is gonna be suspension, the Racetech Springs. 3, I'm gonna say, is gonna be either an easy pull clutch lever. Well, actually, it is an easy pull clutch lever. If you haven't started practicing, or if you have, you will understand that your hands, your wrists, your forearms, it takes so much abuse, man. Like, it sucks. It really does. I've had my shit lock up all the way to my freaking shoulders just because I was practicing that hard. So if you have an easy pull, especially with like stock Harleys, they're fucking hardy, dude. Like, it's hard to pull in just your stock clutch basket, and I mean, essentially you would want to upgrade like later on down the road, which is going to make it stiffer. So you're going to want like a good easy pull clutch lever, because if you don't have one, it's going to make it 10 times harder. And like I said, the stock clutch lever is hard, man. Your shit is going to fucking hurt. And so if you have a good easy pull clutch lever, that's less effort you have to put into picking the bike up, and that's more energy you can focus on to holding on, because you'll get tired like holding on to the bike. Especially when you can start actually getting it up in the air and riding it a ways. Like, you're putting a lot of energy into keeping yourself on the bike, and you only have really 2 points of contact, and that's your hands, your feet, or your knee, or your butt, depending on what type of wheelie you do. So but your hands are involved in every aspect of a wheelie. So the less fatigue you have, the more time you have to practice, the more time you have honing that skill. So I actually think that's pretty important. So 2, on the clutch lever, like, there's a couple bullshit knockoff brands, but Elite Mototech makes a really good one. It's a fucking night and day difference, man. It's like $120, and it's worth every penny in my book. And you can actually get your finger sizes to vary. I think you can go from like 4 all the way down to a 1 finger clutch lever. So it's I run the 1.5, which works for me because the 4 pretty long, and I'm trying to focus on just using 1 finger because I will upgrade to a handbrake eventually. So that's what I'm focused on now. But they're badass, man. Invest in one. They're fucking great. Two and one, they are like neck and neck, man. I had a super hard time. I still don't think they're in any specific order, just because they are so important. But I did decide that two is going to be a C. Uh, it kind of goes along with the hand thing, but for security, um, if you have like a stock seat, a shitty stock seat, man, you're gonna fall off. Like, I'm not gonna say you're gonna fall off, but you're gonna feel like you're gonna fall off. You're not used to being in the air. This is all for beginners. You want something that's gonna make you feel fucking confident. Like, you sit in that thing and you feel like you fucking own it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you want to feel like you're in the air. And again, like, if you have a good seat, when you do get in the air, once you are able to get it up, you don't want to have to worry about falling off. And I know this from personal experience because I have a step up and I have wheelied on my stock seat, and immediately, like, upon launch, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna fall off, so that's like not something that doesn't even cross your brain with a fucking step up or a square body seat. So you have to take, again, a lot less energy sitting in the seat and not having to pull yourself up constantly and shit like that. So 2 is going to be like a good seat. Saddleman makes great seats. They have the step up seat. They run $400 or $500, and I think it's Dynamite Crew. They make a square body seat. It's like $350, $400, and then they're pretty similar. They have their differences, but great seats, man. You want a seat, I'm telling you. And one man, it's mentioned often in wheelies, but it's never stressed on how fucking important it is, because this was probably one of like my last concerns when I had first started, because I didn't realize how fucking important it was. And you hear people say it all the time, but you don't really think it's that big of a variable, and it is. And I'm about to tell you what it is. So one is a fucking tire. A tire. You don't think it's that fucking important. You think, oh, motor work. You think, fucking some type of, souped up fucking clutch basket to grip. No, one's a fucking tire, man. If you have a good sticky tire, I don't care what you're on. You have a good sticky tire, that motherfucker will grip, and it will throw you up. And I know this from personal experience, man. I was reluctant. And there are several tires that I've heard, like the Dunlop, the Elite, the Commander, the Avons, the fucking Cobras, whatever. I've heard them all, and I've tried 3 or 4 different tires, but I didn't find love until I found the Shinko. The Shinko 777 is by far, hands down, the grippiest tire I've ever seen, man. I had a real, with all the other tires, I could do stand-ups, I could do the knee in the seat, at least get it up, no problem. But I had a real hard time with sit-down, so, I'm not a big guy. My technique was not perfect, I didn't have the clutch and the thrust down at the same time, so I hadn't developed the skill yet to get it up on a less sticky tire, and I switched over to the Shinko, and I mean, literally, I can pull the clutch in, lean back, pop it, gas, and it comes up straight to 12 o'clock, very easy, fucking stupid easy. It's almost like cheating. It definitely takes a lot of the skill out of it. But here's my theory: so if you're absolutely launching is important. I getting the bike in the air, is a fucking huge factor. But I feel like if you can take that shortcut and start practicing on, and yeah, you still kind of have to go through the motions. You have to, pull the clutch and throttle it, bump back, and you have to do it in a skilled manner. But it makes it 10 times easier having that tire. Um, and nobody's worried about the launch. People, like most people, are more concerned about finding that balance point, focusing on that brake control, and keeping that bike up. So yes, getting the bike up is an important part, but it's only a small important part. Um, and plus, normal people don't fucking care like what tire you're riding on. They have no fucking idea. Like they don't know it's essentially cheating. Like, so who fucking cares? And in the process of using that tire, getting comfortable with that tire, who knows? Maybe like you will develop that skill to get it up on any other tire. Um, so I've gone through my first Shinko. I actually just put on my second one, and I mean, it lasts just about as long as any other tire. There's if you're stunning on a Harley, any tire is going to last you from a month, no longer than 2 months. Unless you only ride fucking once a week. So it doesn't last that long, like any other tire, but it stays sticky practically all the way until you see wire, man. I'm telling you. So that's like if you want to just sit on your bike and wheelie it. Say you have a good stock seat, you just want to get your bike in the air. Put on a Shinko 777, and I promise you that fucking thing will come up. But so these are just some of the things, and don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just a beginner. But these are the things that I wish I would have known when I first started, because I had spent thousands of fucking dollars and other shit that like I didn't need just a fucking wheelie. And every single one of these things like are super important to me now. Several months in. So hopefully it helps you guys out. Like I said, I guarantee you, if you put every single one of those things on, man, you're gonna get your bike in the air. But this is just information I'm passing to you guys. Hopefully it helps you out. Just remember to take your time. Like, don't push it. Like, they're expensive bikes. They're fucking heavy. Don't hurt yourself. And stay up, man. So if you guys have any questions, comments, like concerns, hit me up. Let me know. And I'm gonna try to. My seat should actually be here this week, Friday, and I've gotten a lot better on my sit downs and my knee in the seat. That's kind of like my new thing, is like the knee in the seat, so I can control the brake, and that's what I've been focusing on. So I'm gonna start dropping some videos, and I got a couple of other videos I want to drop on some of the Harley stunt things. So look forward to that. And like I said, you guys have any questions, comments, like hit me up, man. We'll figure it out. So stay up, stay straight, and keep practicing.